Proverbs 22 and 7 says, "The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender." Hi, my name is Charles Vance. I'm along with Chief Strategist Terry Sacka, and you're watching The Wealth Transfer. Terry, it's always
Charles,
good to see you.
Good day, good morning.
Good morning, whatever time people are viewing this
yes,
broadcast.
actually. Now, welcome to The Wealth Transfer, everyone. Global economics, biblical principles, protecting, preserving your family. Normally we give you just, kind of a little bit about what's going on, but we're going to have to jump right into this. We've been doing a Petrodollar series. We need to jump right in because we want to wrap it up today. And we want to go a little slow on it because what we've been doing in the Petrodollar, you just have to understand if you're new to the program, you can go onto our website, you can watch this called the Petrodollar series, and you would like to do that to know A to Z what's happening. But the Petrodollar is basically the agreement with Saudi Arabia to buy oil. Everything is about energy. Everything had to be bought in dollar bills. That standard is being challenged today, right now. And if that standard goes down, we in the United States, our quality of life will change drastically because we'll have a new monetary system and a new currency if we lose this petrodollar. And today we're going to wrap up. So we will get into it, but we'll say at least a little hello and hi, Charles.
Hey, one of the things that people, I think, don't understand is our society is based on a debt-based currency system. That means the debt has to exist because the currency has been created to balance the debt.
Yeah.
If you have too much debt, you're out of business. So we have allowed, the government has allowed the Federal Reserve banking system to create more currency, really out of thin air, create and print more currency to loan them for the bills that they stack up so that they can pay them. So there has to be a constant movement of currency to debt and currency to debt. If you eliminate the debt, you eliminate the need for the currency, so it causes the value of the currency to decrease. With this petrodollar, where people have been using this around the world, if they eliminate the use of this currency for, you need a drink? Yeah. For, if they eliminate the use of our currency for the for crude oil, then they are eliminating portions of that currency. If they eliminate portions of that currency, then the currency, watch this, the need for the currency, then the currency revalues and the value of it decreases, so it's worth less. So what it used to take one of these to buy, it takes two or three of them to buy. We've seen it after wars take place.
That's exactly right.
Because the debt versus the base of currency gets offset. Now, if this were backed with something tangible, this is an old $2 bill or a copy of an old $2 bill is the reason that looks odd. If this were backed with something tangible like gold or silver, that couldn't happen. If it was directly relevant to the same amount of worth for precious metals, it would be impossible for that to happen because we would never have more of this than we have gold and silver to back it with.
That was always the object.
And that was the object originally when we've had, every currency really has began.
And unfortunately, every single time we've always printed more than we had.
Right.
And that's where World War I, World War II, all these dynamics
Well, and even if you look way back, before, over in England when they first started printing stuff, it's always caused a collapse when they print more than necessary.
Well, the Greeks did it. In fact, they brought in gold. They would start adding copper. Before they know it, all the money was just copper, and then, of course, they collapsed. So,
So what we are wanting to caution people of is if this currency, here's one that looks more like real currency today. If
they all were real at one point. Go figure that, right?
If this currency is devalued because of the lack of debt necessary to take care of because of this currency, if we're not buying, if the world is not buying crude oil with this anymore, then the value of this continues to decrease.
That's exactly right.
Now, if we can keep a tangible asset such as silver or gold or land or food or water, anything that God created, if we can keep it in store somewhere, then we're going to be able to trade this for huge amounts of what people call currency.
That's correct.
In the future.
That's exactly
That's
how
why
it
it
works.
appears that this goes up in value,
Yep.
but it really doesn't. What happens is the currency goes down in value.
Yes.
Now, the caution here is, the concern is the use of the petrodollar. There's so many of these printed so that they can be exchanged for crude oil around the world, and the countries that have come into alignment with that petrodollar,
Yes.
now they're making agreements that they don't want to use it anymore.
That's right. And matter of
among
fact,
themselves.
Yes, and when that was created, we only had 300 billion in currency in circulation in the 70s. Now we have trillions.
They won't even tell you how much exactly.
Well, no, they don't, but I know we have trillions.
Yeah, right,
So we have
right.
300 billion, now we have trillions. Now remember, here's another thing. And back then, the baby boomers were just beginning to earn a living. Now they're retiring, going on all these obligations, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, you name it, we don't have money for. Back then, we were giving people money. We were a creditor nation. Today, the largest debtor nation in the world. So why this is so crucial, if we've got trillions of dollars, as Charles was saying out there, what will happen when they start coming home? And this is the essence of everything we're saying. Mind you, this is not political. Both sides are involved. This is purely about we the people being protected and preserved for the future. It's not the price of this. It's not short term. We should have been doing it all along. It's about overnight we're going to see a currency event. We're wrapping up the petrodollar here, but overnight we will see a currency event soon. And here we got these dynamics of when Charles got through this, what do you do with this stuff, people ask. If you're storing it for long term in your IRAs, 401ks, in your home, wherever, put it in a private vault. We have plenty of people in a private vault storage we help them with. The point is, what you do with it is you store it away. No different than you hold a mutual fund in your 401k, right? But the difference is it's real. And then in the future, you will exchange this for a lot more of those currency notes, of course, sustaining your buying power and your standard of living. Crucial to understand, those that remember 2008, what's coming is going to be a lot greater than 2008.
Terry, if people don't believe this, when I was a teenager, at 62, 64, people were forced to retire from many companies, and they would live the rest of their lives on their retirement. Now people that retire at 70 years old go to work for Walmart as a greeter or whatever, just to sustain their level of life.
And you know, it's even deeper than that. I can't get into it now, but it's just a political thing. But it's about wages and it's about wealth. What people don't really realize, the whole entire thing about immigration, by the way, has nothing to do with children. It has to do with the fact of suppressing wages. Corporate America wants it, and they want to do it because they want to get cheap labor. It's called STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. They want these intelligent people from around the world to come in here as immigrants and pay them a lot less. I have family and friends that are in technology, in these fields, and they're not making a lot of money as they used to. And they keep saying there's a shortage of labor. That is deception. No, there is not. There are so many people in this country who can work, but the whole immigration debate is about wages, suppressing wages, and immigrants come in and do the same job as Americans, but for a lot less money. But this is all about the bigger picture, you see. So for those that are already here and have retirements and have their 401ks and have their jobs, Charles is right. We can't rely on the future anymore. We're wrapping up the Petrodollar series here, and this is serious and contending in our face. Yes, it's been going on for about 10 years, but it's really picking up pace now because the foundation has been laid between Russia and China. They've cemented it. The BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, have cemented their currency agreements. They now have a BRICS bank, same as the IMF bank. Half the world's population is in allegiance and alliance to this eastern half. Russia's still in control of Europe with energy, but as we explained in the previous show, that the Nabucco pipeline is designed to go up through Syria and feed energy, natural gas from Qatar to bypass Russia so the West is in control of their own supply. This is so huge because it's right now. There's a reason why Syria is happening. Reason why the ISIS people are happening, because we created them to overthrow Syria and they backfired on us, and now we're having to clean it up. There's a whole dynamic is about the petrodollar. Afghanistan, all of it is about the petrodollar. So the reason it's important is your standard of living, quality of life, your retirement. At the end of the day, you worked for it. You saved it. It's supposed to be there in the end for the long term. It's best to be in a hard, tangible asset for the long term because the dollar will lose a lot of value in the future. It has to. Something is coming. So for those that have that, register on this website, give us a call. We will send out this package loaded with data on why the dollar is severely challenged, what's coming in the future, economic data so you can evaluate it for yourself, not what the world's telling you, and it'll show you how simply and easy it is to roll over your IRAs, your retirements into a precious metals IRA, and for the long term, store it in something that is supply-demand and is hard and tangible that you own.
This is not like day trading on the stock market.
Exactly.
This is
right.
not a get-rich-quick
That's
thing.
the object, yes.
This is somebody getting enough vision for their future
yes.
that they get their retirement in something that's going to be usable
Yes.
and functional when they get to the place that they want to use that
And
retirement.
for those that disagree, Charles, they could disagree all they want. The fact is the dollar's down 40%, silver's up hundreds, and when you see with the baby boomers' debt burden on our country, with all the debt burdens that we have coming, with the petrodollar in our face, sovereign debt, something really big is coming quickly, and in that, there's going to be a challenge to your storage of wealth, your protection, your preservation for your family. Because mind you, we're going to get into this now, and let's wrap this up, this petrodollar, these relationships. Syria, Ukraine, the Middle East, everything is tied to the BRIC nations, forming alliances, and to the petrodollar overthrow. It's called de-dollarization. Go back and watch this series called the Petrodollar series if you haven't seen this before, and get familiar with all of this because you're going to want to understand its impact on your future. I'll start off with image 31C. This is a detailed view of that Nabucco pipeline that we were referring to. They need Syria out of the way to pull this off, by the way. But this image here shows you the Nabucco gas pipeline project is designed to bypass Russia and supply the European Union with gas from Central Asia and the Middle East, starting now. This is supposed to be going on. Now, all those yellow lines, those are all pipeline sequences now that are going on. So this is a lot more detailed, but this is a major, major pipeline. Major. Now, put that in your head because that image right there is why, you can take that off, why this is taking place, why we're in Syria, why it's so important. United States, Americans, I just wish, if anything, I guess I wish the government would just be more honest. Instead of saying it's about this terrorist group and stuff, although they are flying left field out of control, which they weren't supposed to, this really is about this. I believe if we would present the case to the people that this is vital to our survival in the petrodollar, vital to our survival as Western nations and banks, I have a feeling that people probably support that. We might even be willing to put boots for that. I don't know. But all I'm saying is we're not being straight with this information, and that right there is why Syria is going on. And so all we know is from the body of Christ, we better get protected. And this is real because what's happened on the other side, now I've finished with that part going to Europe. What's happened on the other side, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Research it for yourself. It is like NATO, but for the East. And it's going to be the Russia, China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, they're all in on it. India is both sides of the fence right now. But the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is the challenge to NATO. Just like the BRICS Bank is the challenge to the IMF. The line in the sand has been drawn, and we've been playing it out for 5 years, and it's picking up steam. Just not even a couple weeks ago, we were making this challenge with Syria. The president went on TV and said it. Iran and Russia made it very clear, if we start bombing in Syria, it's going to cause serious trouble because Russia and Iran, need that Syria to be intact in order to maintain Russia's energy control over Europe. So if you understand what I'm saying, you'll understand why we, America, have to be involved in this. But at the same time, let the leaders explain that to you, not me. I'm here to really help you protect your assets.
And it really, Terry, it has to do with money. It has to do with U.S. currency, which is really owned by bankers.
Yeah.
But the government has guaranteed this money being in existence by the bonds that the federal bankers have bought from them. So,
yes.
And they've guaranteed loans around the world. In the same respect, the government has.
Yes.
The government has nothing to guarantee these loans with. They're not the bank.
Yeah, I know.
They're not printing the money.
I know.
But they're guaranteeing loans to sometimes these third world countries they know are not going to pay
But
this money
it's not
back.
about that. It's
I know
about
it's not
giving
that.
them something so they agree with us to align this
Exactly.
deal. Now, the reason that's so important, because you're right. I believe what's coming is a sovereign crisis, a sovereign debt crisis. I think not only do you have the petrodollar, but you have a sovereign debt crisis. Europe is in a lot of trouble with bonds. They're in negative interest rates. The United States is
What's negative interest rates mean?
meaning they're charging you to put money in the bank.
Oh, wow.
This is not good. It means the economy's really bad.
Well, they're getting close to that in America. I just opened
know.
a new checking account. It's got 0.02% interest on a savings account.
I know.
0.02%.
They tried passing a law to charge you a transaction fee for everything. They did.
Well,
I
most
know.
banks are.
I know. And so what I'm saying is the reason that's important is I believe the sovereign debt crisis is huge. So we don't know what it is. We just know that it's going to be coming. We can feel it. The prophetic are feeling it. The body of Christ is feeling it. We need to be protected because this will be an overnight event. And it's either the sovereign debt or it's going to be the petrodollar or one of these wars that are going to trigger the sovereign debt. Something is going to cause this that's going to snowball, and you're going to wake up, and it's going to be far more devastating than 2008. Now, that Shanghai Cooperation Organization, this is a NATO thing with like Iran and Pakistan, Afghanistan, China, Russia, India. And look at image 32. This is a Shanghai Cooperation image. That gives you an idea. See Russia at the top, China at the bottom right. You see Ukraine over there in the left. That's the little tiny pin there. All those colored countries happen to be the 4 areas of Russian territory, mind you now. That's Russian territory, even though they're separate nations, that is Russian territory, right? But the reason that's important is down below those colored nations, you see Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. If you notice there in the bottom right corner, China, Pakistan, India, all nuclear nations bordering each other, Afghanistan in the middle. And you see then Iran and then Iraq. The reason we have our bases in Afghanistan, the reason Afghanistan mattered to we the people, is it put our military in the middle of this cooperation, this alliance. It put us in the middle. Afghanistan keeps us disrupting the pipeline system to bypass the Nabucco pipeline, to keep it from happening. So Afghanistan was crucial for that reason.
Because if that gas line, you're saying if that gas line goes through, it's going to much more rapidly kick the petrodollar out of the picture.
Yes, and go back to that image one more time. I want people to see this map. They need to see that. You don't have to understand the major picture, but get what we're saying. Now, the bottom line there, you see Afghanistan. The reason the U.S. military had to go into Afghanistan, number one, they went after Osama bin Laden, but the point bigger was to get military bases in there. And if you notice who's around them, here's the big one right here. Afghanistan was loaded with tons of natural resources. It gave us the reason to go into Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is the crossroad and linchpin of that region for the new Silk Road. Remember that from the past shows?
Talked about that about a month ago.
Yes,
Tell
the new
people
Silk
what it is real
Road.
quick again.
The Silk, you could take that off now. The new Silk Road basically was China's ability to build the old ancient silk trading routes from the north and then down through the south to control the whole trade route system. Mind you, that's half of the world's population. Afghanistan was the only thing standing in the way. We had to do it. Why is this so important to us? Afghanistan, Syria, this whole linchpin, this whole energy move, the petrodollar, if you looked at that map and you saw those regions, Pakistan, why we're doing drones in Pakistan all the time? Reasons. Pakistan signed on with the Shanghai Cooperation. The West is battling, but the reason we're doing drone wars in Pakistan, we say it's for terrorists. They use the terrorists as the reasoning, but it's really about being in the middle to disrupt the ability of the East to form this alliance, to form the pipelines, to keep Russia in control over Europe. And we in the West are the only thing standing in the way of that happening. If we can do what we're trying to do, we'll build that pipeline through Qatar up through Syria and feed Europe with energy that way. We won't need Russia. So I just wish Americans kind of understood the level to that extent, because we may be a little more supportive. Because if we lose the petrodollar, which I think is happening, unfortunately, for whatever reason, the West has never been as honest with the people as they should have been, and they should have explained why this is so important. Because the West can't afford to lose the petrodollar, as Charles was saying. We lose the petrodollar, we lose our ability to have influence, and then all these dollars start coming home. We're going to have tremendous inflation and a lot of trouble financially. So for those that have IRAs in 401ks and currency, you're in jeopardy if this happens overnight and you're not prepared. Give us a call on this number. Give us register on this website. We will send this package out loaded with information to help educate you so you can understand and be diversified. And it is simply an easy explanation on how you can put God's money in your IRAs to protect you. So when the dollar goes down, I don't know how the dynamic is going to play. My guess, new monetary system, new dollar, we're still going to be around, but I have a feeling it could be like a Great Depression for a bit. This is how close we are. So don't get caught waiting or putting it off. Be diversified is what we want to say.
Terry, I think too many people don't understand how delicate the fiat financial system is that's in the world, the paper system.
Yes,
you know,
when
we invaded Iraq, their money was exchanging to American money almost 5 of their dinar to $1 US. Now it's pennies. I mean, like 1 penny per a US dollar.
Good example, excellent point.
And it happened, didn't it happen in Kuwait? And the Kuwaitis, when they recovered and the government was back in place, money went back up, happened in Vietnam. Vietnam never recovered back out of it because they never had any natural resources really to amount to anything.
Iraq should recover.
Well, should
But
recover.
they're in the middle of this linchpin with Syria, you see.
But what people don't understand is this
fragility
system
of currencies.
is delicate.
Yes.
It's so delicate anyway that if anything interrupts it, our GDP is always on the edge of making this what it's worth anyway, it seems like.
That's right.
And it seems like America is producing less and less. I mean, I haven't looked at the statistics.
Oh, no, we are, definitely, yes.
But it seems like our GDP, with gross domestic product, which is our labor and products that are producing, out of America, it seems to be going down every year instead of going up.
Listen, we don't have to, yes, and it's important that you said it like that because the currency is so fragile. Many people just don't think the dollar will ever go anywhere. We have this normalcy bias. I'm just telling you, right now, look at our economy. Most employment, almost all of it, Charles, most employment that's created in the last 5 years, part-time. Part-time. We have so much unemployment, so much economic bad news, but the media is spinning it a way to make it feel better. It's not true. So all I'm saying is we are not only fragile in the United States, we are fragile in the Western Hemisphere. Europe is really fragile. They're in negative interest rates. Yeah, they're not doing QE in the U.S. anymore. It doesn't matter. The stock market's booming only because they're printing currency. But the real core data underneath, I don't know, ask your neighbors. I know people that have never recovered. They lost a job, they're getting paid half of what they used to get paid. So we have a lot of internal issues, and we have big financial obligations for the baby boomers, Medicare, Social Security. We don't have the money for that. So to wrap up this whole concept of petrodollar and why it's important, if this collapses, which it looks like it's going to, the BRIC nations have finally sealed the deals financially and trade. The Silk Road has been created by China. It's almost complete. The energy pipelines are wrapping it up, and they'll start doing it in their own currencies, which will take down the petrodollar, which will then take down our ability to buy, which will bring amazing amount of inflation, uncertainty to our nation. Now, we'll recover because something will happen. We always do. Everyone always does. But it will hurt if we're not properly prepared. And to wrap that up and understand, Afghanistan was supposed to go over smoothly. We actually were talking and making agreements with the Taliban at the beginning for this pipeline and this whole control reason. The Taliban got greedy and wanted too much money and high fees, and it blew the deal out. And then conveniently, we're attacking Afghanistan. So before we attacked Afghanistan militarily, we tried to negotiate this. This was always about military bases, energy pipelines, petrodollar. Your future, your quality of life. Let's wrap up with image 33. This is a map of unity. There it is right there. That last map there shows you the red is Russia. That area of Russia there, and you see the little green spot? That's Ukraine. That's why Ukraine is so important. That's why you're seeing Ukraine in the news. And below the red, all that white and the pink, that's the new Eurasian area, and that's the allegiance and alliance that's coming against the blue, which is we in the West. You can take that off. That right there is the line in the sand. Something's coming quickly. Be prepared. Go through the series if you haven't seen it. The petrodollar is very important for our future. We don't know the when, but just be prepared in a hard, tangible asset. Register on the website. Give us a call. We'll send out this package loaded with information that'll make you feel at peace, give you good education, and help you easily roll over into a physical precious metals IRA, so no matter what happens, you own it for your long term and for your future of your family and your inheritance. God bless you, and in the next week to come, we're going to get into inflation in the real numbers.
Remember, you can watch these programs on demand 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by going to Cornerstone Asset Metals. You can watch these programs by the dates that they're there on the website, by the dates that they originally aired. We encourage you to have a relationship with Jesus Christ above everything, and tell somebody about the broadcast. We'll see you next week, same place, same time, for more of The Wealth Transfer. You did it.
I did not.
Yeah.